Hi, I'm Mel Crafting and welcome to my channel. Today I have a process video on how I made these seashell thank you cards. As always, head over to my blog melcrafting.blogspot.com where you'll find more information on how I made this card, other cards, reviews on crafty products, and other crafty things I get up to. So let's get started. First up, I'm going to stamp some seashell images using my stamping platform. Here I am arranging my stamp images onto a piece of white cardstock. I arranged them to fit as many as possible. I then close the door on my stamping platform to pick up those stamps. And then I use Ranger Archival ink in jet black to ink and stamp those images. I want to watercolor the seashell images later, so that's why I'm using archival ink, because it's waterproof and won't run when I'm coloring. As you'll see shortly, after stamping the initial arrangement of stamps, I reposition some of the stamps and re-ink then re-stamp to get a few more images and get the most out of my cardstock. Now I'm going to restore my stamps. Here you'll see that I store my stamps in black envelopes where I've stamped the entire stamp set on the front using white pigment ink. I love the monochromatic look. It is a bit more effort, but I just do this setup as soon as I get a new stamp set and it's done. I'll pop a link in the top right hand corner of this video, which is a link to another video I did on how I set up my stamp and die storage in my black envelopes. Alrighty, so I decided I wanted a beach themed background. Here I have a piece of watercolor paper, and I'll be ink blending my scene using distress inks. I just have the mini ink cubes and I'll be using some sponge daubers, which I'll just quickly show you the packaging so you can see the ones that I like to use. In a moment I'll speed this up a bit, but basically I start off using scattered straw at the bottom for the sand, then moving upwards I use tumbled glass and then carry on with shaded lilac. Then to get a good blend, I come back in with tumbled glass and scattered straw to blend it all out. Now I bring in my white pigment ink. Here I'm using Stampin' Up! Craft ink in Whisper Wipe and a dauber to ink around a bumpy stencil, which you'll see shortly. I made that stencil. This is going to give a look of waves in the sea. Occasionally I'll come back in with the distress ink to soften the wave outlines. Again, I'll speed this part of the process up. Voila, and that's the background finished. Next up, here are the stacked thanks die cuts I want to use on this card. I'll show you later on the die cut I actually used to make these, but I found these in my stash and I wanted to use them on this card. Now it's time to do some watercoloring. I like to use distress inks to watercolor. It's awesome how I can use these ink pads for more than just stamping images. Today I'll be using tumbled glass and crushed olive. Now I'll bring back the seashell stamped images from earlier. These are what I'll be watercoloring today. To watercolor with distress inks, I smush a bunch of ink onto non-stick baking paper as my palette. You can also do the same with a plastic sheet or acetate or a glass surface. Just make sure you get a good amount of ink onto it so that you have enough to work with. Again, I'll speed this part of the process up in a minute, but basically I add water to my watercolor palette to get it flowing, and then I paint away. And if you're wondering what that extra colour I brought in near the end was, it was another distress ink in Evergreen Bar. And here we have the final results, all fussy cut out. Now I'll bring back my beach theme blended background and I'll just quickly arrange the thanks sentiments die cuts and a few seashell images. This stamp set is called Thanks from Simon Says Stamp. I'll be using many of the sentiments from this set. For this particular card I decided to use Heartfelt with the and Appreciation, and there's a die cut I used to cut the thanks. I also decided to use the little circle heart stamp that comes with the set. I'll now jump ahead to show you the final arrangement for this card. Now I'll quickly adhere the seashell images to the card front using double-sided tape. Next, I'm using my stamping platform to stamp the sentiments and small circle heart stamp. So I'm just going to set that up in my stamping platform. Adhere it down with some washi tape. Again, I'm using Ranger Archival ink in jet black. All that's left to do now is to glue the stacked thanks die cut to the card. To do this, I squirt a little bit of liquid glue onto some scrap card and use a toothpick to dot small amounts onto the back of the die cut, then press it down in place. And that's how I made this Seashell Heartfelt Thanks and Appreciation card. I made a few of these cards with slightly different sentiments. We have thanks for thinking of me, lots of thanks for all you do, thanks for your kindness, which is heat embossed in black on vellum, and thanks for being there, which is also black heat embossed on vellum. And here's all 5 seashell thanks cards that I made. For more information, head over to my blog, melcrafting.blogspot.com. Of course, subscribe if you like what you see, or place a comment below and tell me what you think of this video, or leave a comment. Let me know what other crafty or card making things you'd like to see. I like sharing what I enjoyed doing, so I hope you enjoyed this card process video and maybe you'll pop in and watch me again. Happy crafting and thanks for watching.